Welcome to Sunday service. We'll start at 10 o'clock, so we have about 9 minutes before the show begins.
Well, it was the only person.
You're warming up some slowly.
Tomatoes and zucchini, oh, good. Yes, I do. Well gone.
I have some.
Okay.
Tomatoes that are still orange. And a lot of.
Do you have green ones?
Yeah, do you like green?
Oh, I love green.
You like fried green tomatoes?
My mother always.
Would you slice them thin or how do you?
Slice it.
Yeah.
And then I put cornmeal or flour. I'll bread them with the pepper and I just saute them. Oh, like you would as a zucchini. I just love it.
See me after.
Are you up for the weekend? I want to sit over here. Yeah, I sit way over.
Oh, right. Okay, you're
Sit
good.
way over.
Great, great. Thanks for coming.
I was too, but. You got it.
How you doing?
I can't get my.
That's good. Life is good. I really don't.
Why did it take the last?
Because I'm following. You know that way. That's the only thing that's giving me absolute fits, but politics is.
Yeah, I did.
Other than that, I'm good.
Hello, welcome. Hi. You guys from Appleton too?
I have my own set right now.
South.
Did anywhere, you just go down.
You know, my grandkids here.
You know where everybody is today? Packer game. I know you're not. Look around. Not just this.
Oh, absolutely. And, my big old lady, they stay chairs together, you know, the dog and the kids. And, you know how the dog knows it's right.
You're in London.
Suddenly there's a kid on the back, eyes are and,
I was gonna check it before I left.
you know, I mean, all
See,
of those things are such a joy.
even little old ladies are thinking about the tax.
8:30 here, 2:30 London time.
Did you get that?
I would love that, okay.
Oh, you gotta shut up your. She should have wrote her.
Yeah, and your cheese head. your other
My
green
cheese is in
cheese.
Florida.
I admit, oh, that would have been the highlight of the hospital stay, I think. Yes, how lovely of them to do that.
I don't think we would have.
No, we got it here.
Patients pets. That would be
Pretty good. Few health issues here and there. In fact, I was just in the hospital just for monitoring medication. Things working fine. Thank you. Sort of, just before COVID, fall, I was in a play where I wanted to pull back and pull back in, French break. So that worked out, and then, just to get I just started getting out.
Saturday, all the new churches in the state are really.
Oh, you look so beautiful. Okay, I'll put it in my
Oh,
calendar.
excellent.
So that's been fun.
How did that going around?
Yeah, well, and then I surprised you. Wonderful. I used to say that.
Let's go for it.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, I got kind of a extended announcement to make about Busan and you do the vote and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I may grab the mic and come up with it.
Okay.
If Cindy will give it to me. She doesn't give it up
You may
very
have to arm wrestle her for it, but, yeah, okay. On occasion. Yeah, I've seen that. And I'm like, she's always here. How does she go? Good morning. Oh, hi. How are you guys?
Hello, Karen. Welcome back.
Well, thank you. I like being here. You too. How are you? Maybe I should get one.
Good morning, Donna.
Good morning.
Hi, Donna.
She wants to do. Well, they should return it. They should stay on the side. It's still staying on the
How are you this morning?
Well, and also what we put on the critical band. Just my son. Oh, they're here.
Yeah.
I know, probably.
Thank you, Carol. Lovely beginning to our morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Door County. And I'm so delighted to see so many bright faces out there here instead of in front of their TV watching Packers. Thank you. And this is about as close as you're going to get to see me in green and gold. So enjoy while you can. Okay. Welcome to this morning, this day, and this opportunity to be together in community, which is a time of joy, comfort, and sometimes challenges. This Unitarian Universalist congregation is a place where we come to learn more about being human. We're not here because we've figured out life's questions or because we think we've got it right. We come here to learn more about being in relationship together, how to listen, how to forgive, how to be vulnerable, and how to create trust and compassion in one another. Let us move into this worship, willing to be authentic with each other, honest within ourselves, and opening to connections in all of its forms. My name is Donna Johnson. I'm your service leader this morning, and I ask that you take a moment to silence any noise-making devices you may have at this time in honor of our time together. On behalf of the fellowship, I extend a special welcome to any visitors who may be with us today. It's our custom to ask visitors or people who haven't been here in a while to stand up and introduce themselves if you are able. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and maybe a word or two about what brought you here this morning. Anyone willing to introduce themselves?
I'll go first. I'm Joel Sandberg. I'm Karen's husband. I brought the entire brood with us.
Lovely.
Welcome. Hello, I'm Nash Sanderson. It's actually my first experience at a Union church, so thank you for having me. I'm also here for Karen. This is I am being welcomed into this family as well. I'm the outsider from the Sandberg clan, but thank you for having me today.
I'm Claire Sandberg. I'm Karen's daughter. I've been raised in the UU Church, and I'm very excited to be back.
My name is Mallory McShane. I'm Karen's daughter-in-law, and I'm excited to be here. This is my third time that I've done the service here, so I'm excited to be here again.
I'm Derek Sandberg. I'm Joel, Karen's son, also raised in the UU Church.
I'm Todd Underwood, like on UU. I'm in the congregation in Elgin, Illinois.
And I'm Kathy Underwood from Elgin, Illinois. And I'm a religious educator at the Evanston Unitarian Church.
Wonderful.
Welcome.
Okay.
I'm David Hatch. Cindy and I ran into each other serendipitously on the street the other day, and she invited me to come again. It has been a while, but that's hi.
Welcome back. Okay. And at this time, if there are any announcements related to the fellowship, please share those now. Please wait for Cindy to bring a microphone to you so we can hear your announcement. And please identify yourself for the sake of those who are listening in or watching this morning.
Oh, hi, Karen here. As you can see, or maybe not yet, there is a new show in the gallery. Christy Roning, who is a well-known artist who lives in Sturgeon Bay and has for most of her married life, I think. It is abstract. So that will probably put some of you off, but please read her statement because it explains what she's doing and why she's chosen to use something that's more abstract. Also, after the service, I plan to put the fall decorations up, and I'll need help from at least one person. If anybody's willing, let me know.
Hi, I'm Mark Richards, and I'm
as some of you know, I'm president of the Wisconsin UU State Action Network. Next weekend, on Saturday, the 15th, the Wisconsin UU congregations are going to gather and participate in a UU the Vote event. There will be a kickoff Zoom cast originating in Madison, featuring the UU the Vote National Director, Jason Hicks, at 11 o'clock in the morning. We will engage in a day's worth of activities. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, president of the UUA, will speak to us via Zoomcast. The invitation for you is that there will be 100 postcards delivered here this week, and we would need 5, 6, 7 people just to fill them out and mail them off. We'll provide postcards, we'll provide stamps, we'll provide snacks, if you wish. We'll try to get the Zoom set up so that you can watch the 2 Zoomcasts. The intention is we're not going to create a big wave that's going to move the state of Wisconsin. You know that rocket that ran into the asteroid? Yeah. That's us. We'll give it a nudge.
What did the postcard say?
Honestly, I don't know what it is, but it's basically just register and vote. It's not a solicitation for a candidate or a party. It's just a register and vote, and according to values that we cherish. So.
Good morning, Bruce Nelson, and the forecast for tomorrow is bright and sunny and mid-50s, and I think it's going to be a great day to pick up trash in our section of the highway. So if you'd like to join the effort, we'll meet at the Brew House or Brew Coffee House, whatever it is, in Ellison Bay at about 9. And if anybody, everyone is welcome to join us.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Cindy, for manning the microphone. The word courage comes from the Latin cor, which means heart. According to poet Mark Nepo, the original use of the word courage meant to stand by one's core, a striking concept that reinforces the belief found in almost all traditions that living from the center is what enables us to face whatever life has to offer. To encourage means to harden, to impart strength and confidence. This is our work as a religious community, to encourage one another, to be bold in engaging the world around us, as well as what scares us internally, to give one another the confidence and heart to live as fully as possible. With full hearts, we affirm our relationships with one another. We recognize our agency and our connective power. We light this chalice, a symbol of all we are, of all that we have done together, and all that we will be as our shared ministry encourages those within and beyond our walls. It is now when we are called as witnesses of the world to mend it, to change its course, to restore it. It is now when we are called to act on our values, not to hide, not to fear, but to be bold and loud. It is now that we are called to continue our fight for justice, to organize, to speak up. It is now. Let us gather, let us give each other courage, let us worship. Please stand in body and spirit and join in the unison affirmation, followed by the doxology. And we ask that those who are not wearing masks kindly hum, and while those wearing masks may sing the doxology. We gather together to seek knowledge and wisdom, to explore freely the vast reaches of mind and spirit, to celebrate within a caring community those truths, ancient and modern, which give meaning and direction to our lives. Doesn't that sound wonderful? Even with the masks, even filtered. At this time, you are invited to share any joys you may have so that we may celebrate with you. Or if you have concerns that trouble you, feel free to share so that we may offer solace and support. Please identify yourself when you share, and please wait for the microphone to be brought to you. And keep in mind that the service is being broadcast and will be on the internet, so please do not share about a person unless you have permission from them to do so. I'll start out by expressing my gratitude for the Caring Committee. I had the opportunity to use their services this week, and I am very, very grateful.
Hello, I'm Valerie. My great joy today is that my granddaughter, who had been waiting to get back to college the end of September, but her visa wasn't going through. So she came in Thursday. She got the plane settled, and within hours, they were on their way to Chicago. She's back in the Canary Islands in her second year of studies. And she was so anxious to get out of here. So I'm so happy for her.
Right next door.
Hi, Mary Smythe, and I think you will all understand why I need to say this under concerns. The election coming up is the most consequential election for the future of our grandchildren. That means that each and every one of us needs to vote, and each and every one of us needs to go beyond our level of comfort and reach out to others who might need a nudge to vote or who might need a ride to the polls. This is absolutely imperative. Thank you.
Cindy? Hi, I'm Karen, as you know. I have a huge joy because my kids are with me today, but our son and his lovely wife, which I love to say, they eloped recently. And so we came up here to sort of celebrate. So we're up here for that reason as well. So Derek and Mallory got married a few weeks ago, but they were keeping it sort of a surprise. So we are thrilled. We are really thrilled. Thank you so much. And then my daughter and her fiance Nash, they're getting married next summer. So it's very exciting, and we're thrilled about both of them. We love their partners very much. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations and blessings to all.
Well, I had a notable birthday last Sunday, and Wilma, who's never found a birthday party she didn't like, she really outdid herself on the day and the week and whatever. But last Sunday morning, I was supposed to be getting a surprise call from our son and his wife who live in Bosnia, and Wilma said, I got to tell you because I don't know where you'll be at 8 o'clock in the morning unless I tell you to be here. So I knew they were calling. They got on the line and on a Zoom call. And then shortly after, our daughter and son-in-law from Indonesia chimed in to the call. And shortly after, my son and his family from Spain chimed in. And then our daughter who lives down the block in Illinois chimed in. So it was just a wonderful thing, and wondering why, if you've got family spread out at all, I think I want to try to have one of those a month with our family. It's really a wonderful thing.
like they're there, isn't it?
Okay. It is a joy to welcome back the Reverend Karen Sandberg to our fellowship. She was ordained by the Fox Valley UU Fellowship, and she found great wisdom and derived great joy in serving patients and their families at the end of her life as a chaplain for hospice, feeling that they taught her how to live life more fully. And you'll hear a little bit more about that, I understand, today. She and her partner Joel have been married for over 30 years, and as you learned, have a son and a daughter, and a daughter-in-law, and soon to be a son-in-law. And we're grateful that they're here. But they aren't embarrassed to admit they're kind of learning to love being empty nesters and are looking forward to continuing this adventure. We will now take the offering. If you prefer, you can make your donation online from our website, uuftc.org, and you'll find the donate button on the far right side of the homepage. It's easy, safe, and secure to make your payment there. So whatever manner you choose, please give generously to this fellowship that does such great work.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's always a joy to be up here, and we picked the best weekend, weather-wise. I don't know about you, but boy, it's gorgeous, and the trees are, it's not peak yet, is it? It's not really, but it's getting there. So my reading today comes from Earl F. Cook, and it's called The Universe of Humanism. We ourselves must, in spite of an unpredictable universe, keep alive the fire of our own intelligence and insight. Upon our shoulders is being carried the arc of life through the wilderness. All the virtues, all the goodness, kindness, and courtesy is in our hands, and we must sustain them. Otherwise, they'll go out of existence into darkness, as a star would go out. Apart from us, they are not. We are those qualities' hands. We can be builders of a beautiful home for one another on this earth. We can be crusaders for loveliness, for after all, we are life's pilgrims. We're part of the infinite and bound for ports unknown. We're really more than businessmen and businesswomen, or stay-at-home parents, or lawyers, or mechanics, or laborers, or doctors, or teachers. Those are the things that keep us busy. But we're also priests and prophets who carry the torch of life in a proud procession of eternal things, of things that matter. And we can come out of the darkness and the bleakness as dreamers, lovers, creators, and companions that we really are. So holding those words, let us now step into a time of silent prayer and meditation. Was that a bird?
Yeah, it flew away.
That's a relief. In 1942, Irene Sandler took on a daunting task. She lived in Warsaw, Poland, and it was becoming clear what Hitler and his armies were going to do to the Jews who lived in the Jewish ghetto. Sandler realized that the children would be killed if they remained in their homes. She firmly believed she could get them out and send them away so that they could be spared. It was a task she felt she was called to do. But first, she had to convince the parents to hand over their children to a complete stranger. As tensions grew and more Jews were being sent to the concentration camps, Sandler went door to door explaining her plan. First, she would take the children and give them Christian names and place them into the homes of Poles who lived outside the ghetto, who were willing to help. Can you guarantee us that our children will live? The parents asked her. Sandler could only guarantee that they would die if they remained. When will we see them again? The parents asked. Sandler could make no promises, but could only give them the code names that she would assign to their children, and she promised she would do all she could to reunite them. Appalled at the Nazis' treatment of the Jews, Sandler was determined to do all she could to help. Her father had always taught her that people make choices to be good or bad. Their race, religion, and nationality did not matter. She felt this deep in her bones, and she knew she had a choice to act. Sandler found other like-minded helpers, and they figured out how to enter and exit the ghetto without being noticed. Families courageously chose to let her take their children. One of her favorite methods of having the children taken out was by ambulance, because the Jews feared that, the Nazis feared that the Jews harbored contagious diseases, and so they never ever searched the ambulances. Some children were tossed over walls, others were hidden in gunny sacks, body bags, and even coffins. Once out, other families courageously offered to harbor these children. Sandler issued thousands of false documents to help over 2,500 Jewish children escape with their lives. Sandler kept careful track of each child's original name and their new identity. She placed those records in jars that she buried underneath an apple tree in her neighbor's yard. She hoped someday after the war she would be able to return the children to their original families. Unfortunately, the Nazis discovered Sandler's underground work. They arrested her, imprisoned her, and tortured her. They badly broke her legs and her feet. She would never walk again without crutches. Her supporters bribed the Nazi guards and stole her away. In an effort to protect themselves, the Nazi guards lied to their officials and said they had executed her. After the war ended, she returned to that apple tree, and she dug up those jars. She used the notes to find the 2,500 children she and her helpers had placed in adoptive homes. Sadly, she found that most of the children had lost their families at the Nazi death camps, but all 2,500 children lived. In the year 2000, students at Union High School in Kansas wrote a play about Sandler, and they called it Life in a Jar. Her story goes on to have her recognized by Pope John Paul II, to receive Poland's highest medal of honor, and to even be nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize in 2007. After she was recognized for her heroism in the Polish papers, a man called her on the phone. "I recognized your face," he cried. "It was you who got me out of the ghetto when I was a child." She had many calls like that. Yet to her dying day, she did not feel she had done anything extraordinary. She felt she did what anyone would have done. And yet to you And to me, as we hear her story, she certainly was extraordinary. She had courage. She was a hero. Courage, that word alone makes me think of heroes, people who step forward and do what's right, even when it's hard to do, people who see that they're a part of something bigger than themselves, people who make a difference. That very definition makes us think that heroes are few and far between, but I believe we just need to open our eyes and see the everyday heroes that are all around us. I think of Liz Cheney, who stepped forward to lead an investigation into the January 6th insurrection, to the peril of her career. She lost her job because of it. But she did it because she believed in our Constitution and our nation, and she felt it was her duty to protect our democracy. During the height of COVID, I think of the medical heroes, and I'm sure some of you know them or are them, who worked shift after shift with masks digging into their cheeks. With little sleep and lack of staff, they remained committed to caring for the increasing number of people who are walking through their doors, sick and dying of COVID. More recently, I was amazed by Elizabeth Focorelli. She was the executive director of Martha's Vineyard's Community Services. At the end of a workday, she saw 50 immigrants carrying their lives in suitcases and walking toward her office building. They were sent by the governor of Florida without any warning. She opened her doors. She raced to get others to help. She had interpreters and high school kids who spoke Spanish come to help communicate with these folks who had suddenly been dropped at her doorstep. Everyone who helped those immigrants during that time said they were just trying to treat them with basic dignity and respect. These stories of heroes or people who demonstrate courage become what we gravitate towards. Their stories help us to cope and make sense of the terrible things that happen. Fred Rogers of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood fame said that his mother told him always to look for the helpers instead of the ones who caused the tragedy. I believe we seek out those stories like Sandler or Schindler or teachers or nurses or firefighters, all of those helpers who chose to move towards those in need. And then when we hold those people up alongside the senseless disaster or death or torture, those heroes somehow help us to see hope and a way out of that tragedy. As a chaplain, folks would often ask me why God let horrible things happen. Many folks left their faith after a death of a child or a murder of a loved one. What kind of God would allow this to happen, they would fervently ask me. I could only share that I believed God was weeping alongside them, as we all were, and that God was not present in the atrocity. For me, most horrific atrocities were acts of nature or physics or acts of evil caused by humankind. For me, God was present in all the folks who came rushing in to help with food and shelter and love and comfort. For me, that's where love and holiness dwells. That's where hope can continue to flourish, even when we are in the depths of despair. And that hope means that there can be redemption for us as well. As people who make our own mistakes, who harm one another, who lose our way. We humans are pretty complex creatures, aren't we? We can be wonderful and awful, all within a single hour. And even in the worst times, though, in a flash, something will suddenly reveal a moment of life or light or love or connection, and it will remind us not to lose hope or to give up on what we believe in. Goodness and hope allow us to carry on and helps us to focus on what is important. During COVID, when I thought I could not isolate another day, I found beauty in small things like a hand-painted rock that someone left near a tree in my yard. Its surprising gift was a remembrance that even within our forced isolation, I was not alone. I believe we have opportunities for redemption and creating connections within our lives each and every day. Like our reading said earlier, we are more than businessmen and women, or lawyers, or stay-at-home parents, or mechanics, or laborers, or doctors, or teachers. These are just the things that keep us busy. We are, in all reality, priests and prophets who continue to carry on the torch of life, even in the darkness and even within challenges. Waking each day and intentionally trying to do our best is heroic and takes courage. All of you who helped your children or grandchildren through virtual schooling in the past year, those of you who lost loved ones during COVID and could only say your goodbyes on a Zoom were courageous and brave beyond belief. During these challenging times, waking up and deciding to be there for our families and loved ones can take enormous amounts of courage. Working hard at a job that you may not like, to put food on your table and keep a roof over your heads, is heroic and takes courage. Sitting bedside and holding the hand of a loved one who's dying takes great courage. Loving someone who's challenging to love takes courage. Staying with someone during a very difficult time, perhaps a time when there's nothing you can do to change the outcome, takes courage. And these are things we do all the time because we love each other. These are things we do because it's important. These are things we do that call for courage. And yet most of us here would deny that we are heroes or that we are even courageous. I've shared with you many times about the lessons my hospice patients have taught me through the years. One that I've embraced more in my retirement and as I age is to share my vulnerabilities and my challenges. If I'm courageous enough to share them, they always become a bridge to understanding others better. Recently, I followed these words and lessons more intently, and the impact on my life has been amazing. You see, I belong to a very exclusive club, and maybe some of you do too. I have anxiety. I feel fortunate that my anxiety is not a constant companion, but one that has come and gone over the years. It can hit me hard and knock me down and out sometimes. I've learned to seek help and to get counseling, and I've been able to slog my way out of it. But in the past, my dark dances with anxiety were something I hid from others. Sure, I got help, but I did not tell many of my friends or even some of my family. I kept that facade up, that I had it all together. But behind that facade, I was barely able to hold up those walls. This last time, I decided to approach it differently. I heeded the voices of my past patients who so courageously shared their issues with me. Holding those lessons, I decided to be open with my circle of loving and tell them about my anxiety. And guess what happened? Everyone immediately offered me first their love and support, and then their own stories. I saw that everyone had a story of a time when they were knocked sideways by anxiety or depression or other mental health issues. I was never shamed or looked down upon for sharing, but instead, I was embraced, loved, encouraged, and lifted up. And knowing the struggle that I had been feeling, I began to see the courage within those who bravely opened their hearts and their struggles with me. Others who had the courage to get up and face the day when all they wanted to do was stay in bed and hide. It's easy to see the courage in those who rescue people from a drowning boat. But people rarely recognize the courage it takes to get up and face the day when every fiber of your being is telling you reasons why you can't. Dr. Brene Brown says, the bravest thing we can do is share our vulnerabilities. Hiding them is not strong or courageous, like we may have been taught. I'm learning that hiding only allows shame to take center stage. Shame gets its power from isolation and deception. Shame is defeated when we have the courage to look someone in the eyes and honestly share our real selves. As I was walking over to a good friend's house a month ago, I was preparing to tell them about my recent struggles with anxiety. I suddenly imagined all of my patients that I had served, all my loved ones and my family members walking behind me, supporting me, encouraging me, and loving me. I felt it so profoundly that I actually turned around to look behind me. Of course, there was nobody there, but I realized I was not alone. I know now that I am never alone. Irene Sendler relied on other people in her community who cared just as much, and it helped her to sneak out the Jewish children from the ghetto. She relied on thousands of non-Jewish Polish families who took the children in. Each one of the 2,500 children she saved had a multitude of people standing behind them. It was not just Sendler. And that's how we do great things, isn't it? As I look out into this room, I know deep in my heart that many of you do work or volunteer for nonprofits, schools, or shelters, or organizations that care for others. Your involvement in this congregation and this community is varied and strong. I've heard stories throughout the years about how this congregation steps up and helps members who are sick or struggling with meals or yard work or transportation. I suspect you do it because you care for one another, but also that you understand that one day you may need help too. Or perhaps you've already been on the receiving end of help. Being a helper reminds us that we are not alone and that we are connected to something greater than ourselves. And we do it. We just do it because that's where love lies. And we are called to do it. Just like Irene Sendler, like Elizabeth Focorelli and Martha's Vineyard. We do it without thinking. We do it because we believe in the dignity and respect of one another. And we do it because it's a part of what it means to be human. And this is courageous. This is what heroes do without thinking. You are all heroes. You are all courageous because you all choose to be here, to listen, to learn something new, to challenge yourself and to be part of something outside yourselves. I know at times it seems daunting and defeating. It can often feel like there's too much that needs to be done, especially nowadays. But that's when we take turns, carrying the load for one another. And at times allowing others to carry the load for us. It takes wisdom and courage to know when to lead and when to trust others to lead you. But know that we are all here together, helping each other muddle through. Spiritual teacher Ram Dass so eloquently stated, in this life, we are all just walking each other home. And I think about that. Remember when you were a kid, sometimes you'd walk your friend home? We need to do that more as adults. To be willing to share our true selves with one another, to be willing to drop the facades and let our family and friends see us at our worst can be when we are actually at our most courageous. I didn't believe that. For years, I thought that was a lie. But I stand before you today saying that when I showed my family and my friends my worst, they loved me even harder. and stayed with me until I got back on my feet. Dr. Brene Brown says that most of us were raised to believe that being vulnerable was a weakness. But her research shows that there is no courage. There is no courage without vulnerability. Courage requires a willingness to lean into uncertainty and to risk emotional exposure. And those are pretty frightening things. Irene Sendler knew this as she took children from their parents, still unsure if any one of them would ever see each other again. In a world where things like perfectionism, pleasing, and proving ourselves are used more as armor to protect our egos and our feelings. It takes a lot of courage to show up and be present when we cannot control the outcome. Vulnerability is not oversharing with everyone, said the woman who just shared about her anxiety. But sharing with people who have earned the right to hear and hold our stories and our experiences. Let me say this loudly and clearly. Vulnerability is not a weakness, but our greatest measure of courage. So I say to you, reach out. Share your struggles with those who've earned that right. Step out from the facade you may be carrying and let your circle of loving see you. Let them really see you, warts and all. Hear the lessons my patients have taught me. That your friends and your family and your community are walking all right behind you, holding you up and loving you fully. And then here's the hardest part. You have to have the courage to believe it for yourself. May it be so.
There is finally only one thing required of us. That is to take life whole, sunlight and shadows together, to live the life that is given us with courage and humor and truth. We have such a little moment out of the vastness of time for all our wondering and loving. Therefore, let there be no half-heartedness. Rather, let the soul be ardent in its pain, in its yearning, in its praise. Then shall peace enfold our days, and glory shall not fade from our lives. We extinguish the chalice here that it might glow gently in our hearts. May it light your path as you leave this place. May it guide your way until we are together again. May it be so.
If you're looking up at the birds, are those switching back?
Well, I hope not too many other people.
Yeah. I looked up before, when
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I hope you have a great Sunday and a great week ahead.
Somebody said that, yeah.